This is Philosophy Friday. I am your host, Reinhard Moers. Today we're talking about morality, and about right and wrong, and shoulds or should nots. And I hope you are not judging me unfairly about we didn't meet last Friday. Something came up, so please no yellow cards or red cards towards me. I need a little bit of mercy. On that note, I know morality is quite a tough one, and I don't want to necessarily tie this to religion or culture, although there is obviously religious or cultural differences. But I want to talk more about the existential or the psychological effect and the meaning making we have in corporate organizations or in families, and then also for individuals on those shoulds or should nots. Sometimes in companies and especially big corporations through the world, we have a set of values of how we work in this company. But I've worked in companies that they have people or offices all over the world. It's hard to make a collective, this is how we work or should work, if it clashes with the norms and cultures of different countries or peoples that work for a global company. And we need to be cognizant of these things and solve them. Other things that's tricky in companies, sometimes we write these values, how we should operate, but then we don't adhere to them, or they are rules for some parts of the company and not for others. This becomes especially tricky if the people who make the rules don't adhere to the rules, or if there's different standards for one person or level and another. I have to laugh because I remember one of my professors. He was a coach many years, probably 20 years ago, even more, at a company. He was asked to coach the CEO. And he told this story, and it's true. And one of they had this company with this big value statements as you walk into the door. And one of them was equality. You know, everybody is the same here. We treat everybody the same, right? And so, but in front of the door, there is the CEO's parking, the chairman, the CFO, very close to the door, right? And so my professor, when he first meeting with the CEO, he went and made sure he's early in the morning there already, and he went and parked in the CEO bay. And then the CEO came in and said, "Who is parking on my bay?" And my professor said, "Me." Yeah, and then they had a discussion on equality and norms and who does it apply to, and you can have a field day with that, but it's quite interesting. Yeah, it's important that the rules you set for one must be the same for everybody else, especially when it comes to how we treat people. So that's in a company space. Now, when these things goes wrong in a company or organization, it is important to be able to express them. Now, I've recently also been a part of trying to express different things, and with other people also talk to them, and sometimes they're unhappy how something in an organization or a company works. And then we have this to me, terrible term, but maybe it's just to me, the term whistleblower. So you saw on my thumbnail, me with the whistle. Now, if you watch a sports game, very few times the ref is the most loved person on the field, especially if the ref blows against your team. I wish we could change that term whistleblower to maybe somebody who has a collective concern for fairness. I don't know what we want to call it, but then it's so negative. And then sometimes if the people who you want to blow the whistle towards or say, hey, I don't think this is right or unfair. And you do it in a very kind, humane way. I'm not saying in a rude, angry, malicious, damaging way. But if we do it in a fair way, that you don't become, the enemy if you do this. And in corporates and organizations, it's very important that we have give people the ability to voice things. Because if they don't, they become bitter. And either they leave, or maybe they stay because they may be trapped, but then they become counterproductive. And so that doesn't help at all. So if you are in the leadership of a company or organization, make sure that people can talk to you. Now, I know sometimes it's really big, but make the channels so that, that the open door policy isn't just, a thing on a wall, but that is really open door, and that you have the humility when somebody comes and talk to you to listen. Now, that's for organizations. I think in families, it's also quite difficult because although in a family or a friend circle, we sometimes have the same norms and values, in different times we feel wronged or treated unfairly. And we need to also do the same there. The ability to express these things are important. If we do not express how we feel in close relationships, bitterness starts to set in, and then distance happen. And when these distance happen over time, friends, family, relationships drift apart because we do not sit and just talk about, hey, I think that was unfair. And we cannot let things slide again and again and again and just hope they become better. Constructive dialogue is so important because, as I said, even in our own family or friendships, we have a different view of how we see what's right and wrong in different situations. Not always, but we are still individual. And lastly, I want to talk about the judgment we make towards ourselves. Sometimes we set standards for ourselves that's totally unattainable. And these standards are set because of, family, parents, friends, social media. But the point is to be a better version of yourself and not somebody else. If you're going to judge yourself on the standards you can never attain to, you will be a very depressed person fairly soon, or unhappy at best. So make sure that these anchors of morality are correct and cemented in the right places, and that you place them especially towards yourself and the family, and yes, in the corporate, and that you can talk about what they are, how they're anchored, and if they need to be moved, and then collectively move to a new spot that normal functioning can continue. This is Reinhard for Philosophy Friday.